distinguished guests, and honored participants. I, Rimi Jain, delighted to stand before you as the coordinator of today's international seminar on International Day of Persons with Disabilities 2023, organized by International Council for Education, Research and Training, USA and India, on the topic of United in Action to Rescue and Achieve the Sustainable Development Goals for, with, and by persons with disabilities. The annual observance of the International Day of Persons with Disabilities on 3rd December was proclaimed in 1992 by the United Nations General Assembly Resolution 47 by 3. The observance of the day aims to promote an understanding of disability issue and mobilize support for the dignity, rights, and well-being of persons with disabilities. The seminar will provide the ideal opportunity to share new concepts, best practices, knowledge, experience, theories, and solutions with a focus on promoting rights of persons with disability, learning, professional development, education, and inspiration among professionals and academicians in special education and rehabilitation. Before we embark on today's seminar, there are few instructions for participants to ensure a smooth and productive session. First, seminar duration is 2 hours. Second, please follow digital ethics and keep your mic off. Don't write unnecessary messages in chat box. Third, there is no attendance feedback link, as attendance is automatically recorded. All candidates who will attend at least 75% of the time duration will get the certificate of participation. Fourth, there is one plenary session in the today's program. If you have any question for honorable speakers, you could raise your hand or request to unmute at the end of the session. We will unmute you or write your questions in chat box. Question answer session will be conducted towards the end of the session. And the last, attendance and or participation certificates will be issued in 15 to 20 days after this program. So moving ahead, it is with great pleasure and honor that we invite our chief patron of today's seminar, Dr. Navneet Kaur, to address this distinguished gathering. Dr. Navneet Kaur is an educator and leader with an experience of more than 22 years in the field of education and more than 10 years in school administration and leadership. She has qualification of Doctor of Philosophy, Master in Commerce, and higher diploma in software engineering. Currently, Dr. Navneet Kaur is serving ICERT as Executive Director, Education Division. Ma'am, may I kindly request you to share your thoughts and insights with us?
Namaste, everyone. Thank you, Ms. Rimi, for this introduction and start of today's day. Greetings to all from the fraternity of ICERT, USA and India in today's webinar. Theme for this year's International Day of Persons with Disabilities is United in Action to Rescue and Achieve the SDGs for, with, and by persons with disabilities. Recognizing and respecting differences in others and treating everyone like you want them to treat you will help make our world a better place for everyone. It's beautifully said by Lauren. It is so important to showcase people with disabilities with intersectional identities because that allows viewers to see beyond disability. People with disabilities are multi-layered. We are complex, breathing human beings defined by more than just what we lack. And this is what ICERT feels. International Council for Education, Research and Training, USA and India, in collaboration with UN and UNESCO, provides a platform for a global call to emphasize the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development Goals to make the world a better and more equitable place for people with disabilities. As dreamt by Oliver Sacks, ICERT also wishes for a world that views disability, mental or physical, not as a hindrance, but as unique attributes that can be seen as powerful assets if given the right opportunities. ICRT welcomes you all in today's webinar. We are delighted to have every global participant at this platform, which is for a noble cause. I feel fortunate and honored to welcome formally our resource persons of the day, Dr. Barkha Khura, and Professor in HOT Department of Physiotherapy, SGRR University, Dehradun, Uttarakhand. I welcome Rhoda Basco Galanco, Director for Curriculum and Instructions, Mountain Province State Polytechnic College, Philippines, and Ms. Shivani Mittal, Special Educator and Counselor, the Sri Ram Universal School, Ludhiana. Today, we have the privilege to learn from their experiences, insights, and numerous expertise initiatives. My best wishes to all of you, especially Ms. Rimi, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce, PG DAV College, Delhi, to initiate such a sensitive webinar. Let's start the webinar.
Thank you, ma'am. Your wisdom and expertise will undoubtedly enhance the significance of this gathering. Now, moving ahead, I am honored to present our first keynote speaker, Dr. Rhoda Basco Golanco, Director of Curriculum and Instruction, Mountain Province State Polytechnic College, Philippines. She has completed her Doctorate of Philosophy degree in Education Management and Masters of Arts in Education, major in Administration and Supervision from St. Louis University. Her area of expertise is doing research, both quantitative and qualitative, journal management, curriculum development and evaluation, designing strategic plans, workshops, seminars, evaluating research outputs, theses and dissertations, and tool validation. Numerous awards and commendations have been bestowed upon her. A significant number of her articles have been published in well-regarded journals. Please welcome Dr. Rhoda Basco Golanco for sharing her wealth of knowledge with us today.
Good evening from the Philippines. Thank you for the opportunity to share our practice on inclusive education in the country. So before I begin my talk, I would like to mention that I do not claim ownership of the concepts in my presentation. Images that I use here are taken from online sources, and also I do not have any conflict of interest in this presentation. What I own are the explanations that are based on my experiences as an educator who practices inclusive education and who also briefly taught children with special needs. My objective is to present and to discuss some legal basis of inclusive education in our country. So first, I would like to discuss the context of inclusive education in the Philippines. This is not a new concept to us because inclusive education has been practiced since the time that education was formalized. Now, our Department of Education defines inclusive education as the philosophy of accepting all children, and I would like to highlight that accepting all children. That's why it is illegal for us here in the country to not accept any enrollees. If the enrollment of a school is already full, then they have to be referred to another school, and the school has to accept the child. So regardless of race, size, shape, color, ability, or of disability, and this has to be with support from school, staff, students, parents, and the community. So this is embodied in the Department of Education Order number 72 series of 2009. Another definition of inclusive education in our country, particularly in the basic education, is embodied in the 2016 Basic Education Research Agenda. So Indigenous peoples' education is included in the curriculum of the elementary level of public schools. And an office takes charge of the implementation of Indigenous peoples' education, or we call it IPED, to ensure that the children will remain connected to their culture. And in 2017, the Department of Education issued Department Order 41 containing policy guidelines on madrasa education in the K-12 basic education program. Madrasa education is Muslim education in our country because the southern part of the Philippines is basically Muslim. So this provides Muslim learners with appropriate and relevant educational opportunities while recognizing their cultural context and unique purposes for participating in the program offerings, and also to integrate content and competencies that are relevant and of interest to Muslim students. The alternative learning system is a parallel learning system in our country that provides a practical option to the existing formal instruction when one does not have or cannot access formal education in schools. ALS, or alternative learning systems, is an alternate or substitute. It includes both the formal and the non-formal sources of knowledge and skills. Many Filipinos do not have a chance to attend and finish formal basic education. That is grades 1 to 6. And in senior high school, that is grades 7 to 10. Yeah, and that, of course, is due to several reasons. Some drop out from schools, while some do not have schools in their communities. Since every Filipino has a right to free basic education, the government establishes ALS to provide all Filipinos the chance to have access to and complete basic education in a mode that fits the distinct situation and needs. This is the organizational chart of our Department of Education. So you could see here that the Special Education Division is under the umbrella of the Bureau of Elementary Education. So special education is under elementary education, since it is rarely that these graduates of special education continue to secondary education. So who are the target groups of inclusive education in the Philippines? We have the gifted and the talented children, and usually they have a separate school. Also, learners with disabilities, they are in a special education center. Learners of the madrasa curriculum, or these are the schools for the Muslims. The indigenous peoples are integrated in the regular classrooms, and learners in difficult circumstances, especially those who are from the geographically isolated areas, or the GIA, those with chronic illness, the abused children or individuals, those who are displaced due to armed conflict, and we have several of this, and those who are under the programs of resettlement or disaster. So usually these are the children who receive homeschooling that is approved by the Department of Education. So what are the legal basis of inclusive education in the Philippines? As in other countries, of course, we derived the primordial legal basis from our Constitution. So the 1987 Philippine Constitution has the mandate to encourage and provide education to everyone, regardless of their sex, regardless of their ethnicity, religion, etc. It is the right of every Filipino to have access to quality education at all levels that is provided in our Constitution. The Constitution also establishes a system of scholarships and incentives. And these actually are being handled by some agencies. Like, for example, scholarships for indigenous peoples are under the auspices of the National Commission for Indigenous Peoples. And there are also private individuals that give scholarships and grants to children with special needs, and also those who are capable of moving on to the secondary and even to college, particularly the blind. This constitution also provides for the training in civics and in vocational skills. That's why we have our Technical Education Skills Development Authority, or TESDA, that supplements the educational system of the country. So those who graduate from basic education, whether elementary or high school, and they do not want to continue to college or the university, then they can avail of the TESDA programs. And of course, the Constitution also recognizes the complementary roles of public and private institutions. That's why higher education institutions that are under the that are private and public partner with each other so that they could more or less complement the educational system. Then there's also the Education Act of 1982. It might have been in the 80s, however, it's still being recognized at present. This Education Act of 1982 is actually the blueprint of the Philippine educational system, and it provides for a multi-sectoral thrust in the implementation of inclusion education by mandating the schools to provide for the establishment of appropriate bodies that will discuss issues and promote the interest of learners, particularly the indigenous peoples and also those with special needs. Then we also have the Education for All, or the EFA, Philippine Plan of Action. So this EFA, or the Philippine Plan of Action, is the blueprint for the national policy framework for a universally accessible educational system. This is also the basis for the free tuition fee in the tertiary education in the public schools, or what we call as a state universities and colleges. But that, of course, does not include the private higher education institutions. So the strategy of the EFA is to address the problems of limited access to basic education for groups that are at least served by the educational system, and those who enter the system but drop out, or at a high risk of dropping out before achieving basic literacy and numerical skills. So this EFA, Philippine Plan of Action, ensures the attainment of the mandate for inclusive education in the country. Now, we also have the 2009 Philippine Magna Carta of Women, which is actually the basis for the gender and development programs that are strongly implemented in schools and even in government agencies, and for the establishment of women organizations that cater or that aim to promote women empowerment. So under this Philippine Magna Carta of Women, it declares that it is unlawful to discriminate women in education due to pregnancy, out of marriage in the form of expulsion, non-readmission, or enrollment prohibition. So this Philippine Magna Carta of Women ensures that the welfare of women who enter education is protected, because most of the times they are the ones who do not graduate, even if they have started their education in the higher level most likely they would not be graduating because they get pregnant, and then opportunities for returning to school is very limited. But with this Magna Carta of women, the government sees to it that it is illegal not to readmit women who drop out of school because of some reasons, particularly pregnancy. And also, there are several women students who are not diagnosed as having some disabilities, and so they have to be referred by proper authorities and organizations in the school to organizations that would look after their welfare so that they would still have a chance to finish their education. Then we also have another legal basis is the 1997 Indigenous Peoples' Rights Act. And this is actually the foundation or the mandate for the inclusion of Indigenous education as early as elementary and continuing until the tertiary. So in relation to this, the Department of Education released Department Order number 42, series of 2004, which supports the permit to operate primary schools for Indigenous peoples and cultural communities. So under this are guidelines for curriculum. Like, for example, it says that it should be flexible, or the curriculum should be flexible without undermining the balance between the attainment of the core learning competencies, which every Filipino learner should master in the community and the indigenous culture. The curriculum in the Philippines is very Eurocentric. It's patterned after Western curriculum, so that sometimes we tend to forget our roots, our culture, our history. So as early as basic education, to ensure that the indigenous peoples will be given an opportunity to be integrated in the mainstream of Philippine education, then there has to be an integration of their lifeways in the curriculum. That is part of the inclusive policy of the country. Then teachers also who are going to teach in these schools, as much as possible, should teach the core subjects of the curriculum. But then there are certain instances when, because of lack of teachers who are trained to teach indigenous peoples, then those who are capable in the community, like, for example, parents or some elders or some volunteers, even if they do not possess the necessary degree, but they have knowledge about the culture of the people, then they are allowed to serve as para-teachers, meaning to say they assist the teachers. They team teach with the teachers in the classrooms. And also part of the inclusion of indigenous peoples in the curriculum or in the educational system of the country is a mandate from the Department of Education to adopt the National Indigenous Peoples Policy Framework, or IP framework. Although this is mandated for the public schools, but it's not the same for the private schools. There are some private schools who opt not to adopt this IP education policy framework. So IP education interventions are to be developed and implemented in consultations and cooperation with IPs concerned in order to address and also to incorporate their special needs, their histories, their identities, etc., as well as their social, economic, and cultural priorities and aspirations. So it is in this framework where basic education is required to adopt appropriate pedagogy, content, and assessment through the integration of the indigenous knowledge system and practices in all learning areas and processes. I'll skip this one. Here, I'd like to focus on this because this is a landmark legislation in relation to special education in the country, the inclusion of children or persons with disabilities in the educational system. So Republic Act number 3562, which was passed in the country as early as 1963, promotes the education of the blind, and it established the teacher training course for those who are going to teach the blind and the Philippine National School for the Blind. There are different special education centers and special education schools in the Philippines, but there's only one specialized school that caters to the welfare and to the education of the blind, and that is the Philippine National School for the Blind. So from kindergarten, they cater to blind children from kindergarten to senior high school. So there's a kindergarten, there's a kindergarten curriculum. There's also one for the elementary, for the junior high school, and also for the senior high school. Now, this is a school for the blind, but for most of them, they have multiple disabilities. There are students who are not just blind, they are also deaf, they are mute, they have some physical disabilities, some have intellectual disabilities, learning disabilities. That's why teachers have to be specialized in handling this kind of learners. In the school, they also have a special program and an alternative learning system. The special program caters to those blind children with multiple disabilities who have potential or who are very good in the arts, especially. And the special program actually aims to give them the necessary skills to become productive members of society, so that when they leave the schools, because most likely many of them do not continue to high school and some don't even go to college. So they have to be taught skills or life skills, survival skills, so that when they leave the school, they would be able to support themselves. They go into business, or they make crafts, they go into arts, they get sponsors, and in that way, they would be able to contribute to the progress of the society. The ALS program is for the adults. For the special program, of course, that is for the youth. But for the ALS program, this is for the adults who have visual impairment and they are not able to attend basic education. It is good for these children that they're able to attend the blind school. But for adults who do not have the opportunity to attend formal education, not even elementary or high school, then they are accepted into the ALS program. And in the ALS program, they are also taught the 3 R's, the reading, writing, arithmetic, or numeracy. And they are also taught some life skills. Now, there are some of them who would like to go to a university or enter a university. That's why they are made to take an ALS accreditation and equivalency. The ALS accreditation and equivalency would determine the level to which they would be placed. But of course, they cannot go higher than college. Then Republic Act 7277, this is the Philippine Magna Carta for Disabled Persons, which was passed in 1992. So this law ensures access to quality education. and assistance to disabled students. There are financial assistance or scholarships that are given to the economically marginalized but deserving disabled students who are pursuing post-secondary or tertiary education. However, there are no financial assistance that's given to those who are enrolled in the basic education. Basic education for us is elementary and secondary. That is for the reason that public education is free. Even in the tertiary, of course, it's also free recently. The mandated or mandatory level of education is elementary. However, the educational support is extended up to secondary. So assistance may be in the form of scholarships, grants, student loan programs, although for the student loan programs, this was replaced already by a full scholarship. There are also subsidies and other incentives that are given to the qualified disabled students. And these are channeled to the Commission on Higher Education if the students are going to enroll in the university or in the colleges. Now, for the special education, it is a mandate of the state that they are going to establish, maintain, and support a complete, adequate, and integrated system of special education for the visually impaired, the hearing impaired, the mentally retarded persons, and other types of exceptional children in all regions of the country. Unfortunately, special education is not paid much attention to in the Philippines, so that even in our programs, even if the university has an integrated system, integrated meaning to say there's elementary, there is high school, and there is tertiary. So the university operates all these levels, but most of the time they do not have any special education. Special education could be operated by private individuals, or they could be under the support of the Department of Education. So of course, if it is under the Department of Education, it is free. If it is private, they have to pay, and it is quite expensive. Now, it is also a mandate of that Republic Act that the state or the government shall establish, if it is financially viable, braille and record libraries in the provinces, cities, or municipalities. Unfortunately, even if it is a mandate of the law, we do not actually have these ones. If we have, it's very few. Since actually out of the 13,408 schools in the Philippines that have special education programs, only 648 are SPED centers. It's not even half. It's not even half of the 13,408 schools that have SPED programs. So the 648 SPED centers, there are 471 in elementary schools and 177 in high schools. Now, the Department of Education said that the ideal student-teacher ratio for SPED is 15:1. That is the mandate. 15 students is to 1 SPED teacher. However, records show that there are only 4,000 SPED teachers or special education teachers in the Philippines. Actually, many Filipino SPED teachers left the country. Many of them went to the United States because the salary of SPED teachers in the Philippines is very low. So if there are only 4,000 SPED teachers and the ratio is 15:1, then this indicates that with the 126,598 learners with disabilities, that's how much disabled students we have in the country. The present student-teacher ratio actually is 31 student is to 1 teacher. And that is very taxing on the part of the teacher. So when I had actually my my internship for my diploma in special education. I was assigned to the SPED Center, and in one classroom, it's a mixture of different disabilities. There are hearing impaired, there are the blinds, the children with Down syndrome, those within the autism spectrum, those with learning disabilities. And it's a good thing that the teachers who are handling this have been there in the service for 30, 20 years. But then they're having difficulties also because they did not have any formal training. When they took their teacher education program, they were not trained in special education. So many of our special education centers in the Philippines are struggling to look and recruit for special education teachers. But the support that is being given by the government to special education is not as much as the support that they are giving to the regular education. And that is why many of our SPED teachers actually left and they went to the United States. In the university where I worked before I transferred to the government, we had a program, Diploma in Special Education, so that we could train public school teachers to be of help in the teaching of the special education schools in the country. Unfortunately, after finishing the diploma course for 2 years, they all flew to the United States, since at the time there was a great demand for special education teachers in the United States. And then also because of the very low prospect and a very low salary of special education in the Philippines, even if higher education institutions offer a major in special needs education, not many students would be getting that major. They still opt to go into elementary or into secondary and early childhood education. Actually, in our college now, at the Mountain Province State Polytechnic College, the least number of enrollees in the teacher education department is in the special needs education department. It's so difficult to recruit students to major in special needs because they know the plight of special education in the country, that it's so difficult to teach children with special needs, and yet the salary is very low. And then the resources that they need are not also given. Now, also part of the Magna Carta is to ensure that vocational or technical and other training programs will be provided for these persons with these abilities. So the mandate is for the TESDA, that's our Technical Education Skills Development Authority, to develop and implement programs that cater to the needs of PWDs or persons with disabilities, such as developing and implementing sports and physical fitness programs, which are specifically designed for the disabled persons, taking into consideration the nature of their handicap. In the university where I worked first, it's a private university, during December's, we have a celebration for the disabled, and we had this sports Olympic for the disabled persons. Unfortunately, when the physical education teacher who was trained in special education transferred to another university, the program died. And it could not be continued by the SPED Center because no one among them is also really trained to handle physical education activities for the disabled persons. Currently, in the special education centers and the SPED schools, the teachers there are trained more on the academic, more on teaching academic skills to these students, but not really the life skills, because there's really no institution, no agency in the country that looks into the welfare of these children with special needs or persons with special needs. Last August, I had the chance to help a group of PWDs. They have this federation of persons with disabilities in one municipality, and I was asked to help them organize themselves into an organization, into an association, so that they could be represented in the policy-making body of their local government units. The indigenous peoples have a representative in the local government unit, and the senior citizens, they also have a representative, but there's no representative for persons with disabilities, and there are so many of them. And they are not diagnosed because, clinically diagnosing persons with disabilities is very expensive here in the country. Although there are some non-government organizations that could help, but with the bulk of clients that they are attending to, not everyone would have the opportunity to be clinically diagnosed. So that when they go to school, the teachers do not know how to handle them because they do not know the disabilities that they possess. And lastly, it is a mandate also of state universities and colleges to look into the welfare of individuals or persons with disabilities, children with special needs in their community. The mandate is in each region or province where there exists a state university or state college, they shall be responsible for the development of material, appliances, and technical aids for the disabled persons, and the development of training materials for vocational, rehabilitation, and special education instructions. Now, at the Mountain Province State Polytechnic College, one of our extension program is educating or training daycare or childcare workers, because even if they are employed by the government to be daycare or childcare workers, they do not have actually any specialized training in handling children. Some of them are graduates of, let's say, accountancy, engineering, political science, but they applied for the job because they could not find any other job. So if there's an opportunity that arises, then they will take the job. And of course, they do not know how to handle these children. And one of the complaints or one of the sentiments of these daycare child workers is that there are so many children who apparently possess the symptoms or the signs of, this being with learning disabilities, intellectual disabilities, etc. And they would like to be of help to them. However, it's so difficult to look for referrals. And especially so, it's very difficult to convince the parents to send their children to some specialists, because many parents deny the existence of, a disability in their children. They would just say that it is normal because they are just children. They are going to outgrow it. But only to realize later that their child has a certain disability. It is also a mandate of state universities and colleges to conduct research on special problems, particularly on the visually impaired, those with physical impairment, mentally retarded, those with intellectual disabilities, multi-handicapped, and eliminate, so that they would be able to eliminate social barriers and discrimination against disabled persons. We have a SPED center. However, during community celebrations, they do not expose actually their students to the activities. That is why when people see them along the roads or wherever, they still tend to stare at them or say negative things about them. There is a negative connotation of the word special education still in our country. If you say that you are enrolled in a special education school, the thinking right away is, hey, this person has a disability. They forgot that another group of students could be the intellectually good students or the gifted students. They look at children with special needs as, children who are not normal. And so even in the regular classroom, if there are students who are misbehaving, students whose behavior could not be controlled by the teachers, they would tell the parents to enroll them in a special education school. And another mandate is inclusion of the special education for disabled course in the curriculum. In our higher education curriculum, the university curriculum, one of our courses is inclusive education. In inclusive education, and this is true to all programs, not only in teacher education, they have this also in nursing, they have this in engineering, in accountancy, and all the programs, because it is treated as, I think it's treated as an elective course, or it's an elective course. So this is the introduction of students to the world of, to another world, I mean, where there are, so that they would realize that there are also students who are not as normal as them. Where I came from in the school, where I previously worked, part of the curriculum of the criminology program is sign language, because future police officers will have to know how to deal with people, and especially those criminals who are, disabled. They have to know how to deal with them. And also in the nursing curriculum, they have sign language, and they also have inclusive education, because they have to understand the behavior and the thinking of these individuals, especially if they will become their patients. I'll skip this one. Here, the Department of Education also in 1997 released Department Order number 26, which institutionalized SPED programs in all schools. Unfortunately, even if it is a mandate, it is not being implemented strictly because of insufficient budget and insufficient teachers who are knowledgeable of special education. And the curriculum for special education, it's practically non-existent. I mean, if there is a fixed curriculum for the regular classroom, in the special education schools, there really is no fixed curriculum for them. It is the teachers who are going to make their individualized program of education. And sometimes, even in the making of the individualized program, the parents are not involved, because many parents are not also educated as to the nature of the disability of their children. And then we have this. Okay.
Excuse me, ma'am, for
Yes,
interrupting in between.
Yes.
Yeah, ma'am, please conclude your presentation, ma'am.
Yes, this is my last slide. So
okay, thank you so much.
The current movement in the Philippines is the introduction of Senate Bill 171, that is Inclusive Education for Children and Youth with Special Needs Act. So this Senate Bill 171 was passed in the Senate in 2019, but up to this time, it is not yet approved. It is not yet a law. So that shows that inclusive education, and especially the education of those with special needs, is not really a priority in the government program. And in last year, during the last budget hearing for education, there was actually no budget for special needs, and that prompted some non-government organizations to protest and claim more, to have at least a budget for special education in the country. And the Senate approved of it. However, it is not even 1/10 of the budget that was given to the regular year level, to the regular levels in the educational system. Thank you. That's my sharing for the Philippines.
Thank you, ma'am. On behalf of everyone presented here, I want to extend our deepest gratitude Dr. Rhoda Vasco Golanco for gracing us with her insightful and inspiring words today. Thank you, ma'am, for sharing your expertise and wisdom with us and guiding us on the topic of legal basis of inclusive education in the Philippines. Thank you, ma'am. So moving ahead, our second keynote speaker for today's seminar is Dr. Barkha Khurana. She is a professor in HOD, Department of Physiotherapy, SGRR University, Dehradun, Uttarakhand. She has experience of more than 15 years in the area of academics and research. A significant number of her articles have been published in reputed journals. She has also authored a significant number of books. She has attended numerous seminars, faculty development programs, conferences, and workshops. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in extending a warm welcome to our esteemed speaker who is here to share her valuable knowledge with us. Dr. Barkha, ma'am. Dr. Barkha Khurana.
Professor Rimi, if she is not there, call the next speaker. Maybe she hasn't joined. And let's check if she joins, you call her on the
We
third.
will call her later. Okay,
Yes,
okay,
you
ma'am.
can call the third.
Okay. So our next speaker for the day is Elizabeth Uluwasi Bello, Federal College of Education, Oyo State, Nigeria, on the role of rehabilitation education on the society and persons with special needs. Sir.
Please invite once again.
I would like to invite our next speaker, Elizabeth Oluwase Bello, Federal College of Education, Oyo State, Nigeria, on the role of rehabilitation education to the society and persons with special needs.
Let's move to the next speaker.
Okay, ma'am. Now I would like to invite our next speaker, Dr. Pavanjeet Kaur, Assistant Professor Chemistry, NSS Nodal Officer, Placement Internship Cell Coordinator, GD Goenka University, Gurugram, on breaking barriers, ensuring equal participation of persons with disabilities in Sustainable Development Goals implementation.
Good evening, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Is my screen visible, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm just... Is it on full screen now?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
It is there, ma'am. It is there. We can see.
Okay.
Yeah, but it is visible.
Okay, ma'am. But it's not on full screen, right?
It's on full screen, ma'am. You can go ahead.
Okay, fine. God has made them different, and we must accept this fact and respect them for that. Warm wishes on International Day of Persons with Disability. This is Dr. Pavanjeet Kaur, Assistant Professor from GD Goenka University, presenting the topic Breaking the Barriers, Ensuring Equal Participation of Persons with Disabilities in SDG Implementation. These are the key points that I'm going to elaborate in my presentation. If we want to achieve the goals of sustainable development, we must ensure the participation of everyone, and hence, equal participation of persons with disability is very crucial for SDG implementation. This presentation emphasizes the barriers faced by persons with disability, key strategies to break those barriers, challenges and opportunities in ensuring equal participation, and call of action to the same. UN General Assembly established International Day of Persons with Disability to promote their rights and well-being. So, what is disability? It's a condition that affects the physical, mental, sensing, and intellectual functioning of a person. It's a major problem all over the world. And in developing country like India, it's a very important public health issue. Most of the Indian disabled persons are living in rural areas. There are very limited rehabilitation services, so they have to suffer. Majority of them are not even aware of their rights, and hence they are not getting proper education or employment. This year, the theme of this day is United in Action to rescue and achieve the Sustainable Development Goals for, with, and by persons with disabilities that promote their rights and well being and aware them in all the aspects of life. SDGs are the global goals, as shown in picture, to address the societal, environmental, and economic challenges. SDG achievement is interlinked with the inclusion of persons with disability, and many goals like quality education, economic growth, good health and well-being, reduce inequalities are directly impacting the lives of persons with disability. SDG is focusing on leaving no one behind, and hence equal participation of everyone is must. So let's discuss the barriers faced by persons with disability. Well, the special persons often encounter various barriers when benefiting from development programs. Physical barriers like lack of wheelchair accessibility, infrastructure, the transportation, the social barriers like discrimination or negative attitudes of others towards them hinder them from development. The lack of reasonable accommodations or education materials, their economic and health barriers also hinder them from getting education or employment. So, what are the key strategies for ensuring the equal participation of those persons? The government should adopt and implement laws and policies to protect their rights and promote their inclusion in all the aspects of society. By creating accessible infrastructure and providing proper education and employment opportunities and creating awareness among them can easily breaking the barriers faced by those persons. But what will be the challenges or the opportunities? Insufficient data on the status and need of persons with disability poses the challenges that will affect the implementation of disability inclusive practices. The financial constraints are always there. So, if there is a collaborative partnership of government and NGOs, international organizations, this can be solved. So for this purpose, establishment of legal frameworks should be there to protect the rights of persons with disability. And not only the legal framework is required, but also ensuring that the policies are being implemented without any discrimination. Also, the strategies could be modified according to the feedback and need of the special persons. UN have done a lot for addressing this issue, but as looking at the graph, in Western countries, the policy implementation is there. It's successful there. But comparing to Asian countries are lesser development in terms of persons with disability. CRPD promote and protect the rights of persons with disability, and along with that, ADA, Americans with Disability Act in US and Equality Act in UK are there. They are working for the inclusion of persons with disability. Our government is also working for this. We also have legal policies. The first one is PWD Act that promote the equal opportunities, the protection of rights, and full participation of persons with disability in Asian and Pacific region. We also have Mental Health Act, Rehabilitation Council of India Act, National Trust Act, and Swavalamban Health Insurance Scheme for persons with disability. The right of PWD Act 2016 provides the right for all 21 subcategories of disabilities like vision, hearing, and speech. We also have projects like Accessible India campaign, provision of aid to persons with disability for allotment of land, for housing, for business, for schools, for their businesses, which are in collaboration with government, state government, NGOs, etc. Now, can we at a personal level help in this, or what a disabled person can do at personal level? They can connect with others, they can use tools and technologies, they can indulge themselves in hobbies to improve their quality of life. We also must treat them with respect. In a world that blooms on diversity, it's crucial to recognize and celebrate the unique strength and contributions of every individual. So, ensuring equal participation is not just a matter of policy, but it reflects justice and fairness. By addressing the barriers faced by persons with disability and promoting their full participation, we will approach the sustainable development that will benefit everyone and leaving no one behind. So let's take action and make disability inclusion a priority for implementation of Sustainable Development Goals. Thank you so much for having me. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer that.
Thank you, ma'am. We extend our sincere appreciation to Dr. Pavanjeet Kaur for being our guest lecturer. Your engaging presentation and wealth of knowledge have made a lasting impact on our seminar, and we are thankful for your valuable contributions.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I would like to invite our next speaker, Dr. Priyanka Singla, Associate Professor of English, Government College of Women, Hisar, on portrayal of disabled persons and their rights in contemporary India, writing in English.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Just
Good
a
evening, ma'am.
Yeah. Just a minute. Is my screen visible?
Not now.
Wait a minute. Is it visible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. First of all, I will like to start my presentation with a very famous poem. For some few lines of the poem. थोड़ा तू अलग, थोड़ा मैं अलग, कहना ये कितना आसान है, सोचा कभी एक है हम, क्योंकि पहले हम इंसान हैं. So that is something which underlines the whole purpose of having this day and this seminar. I think for me that is something which needs to be addressed, that I am not able to change it. Okay. Being a literary person, I have always been attracted to something which has been kept out of the loop, and that's why my chosen topic for today has been the portrayal of disabled people in contemporary Indian writing in English. Since being an author as well, I feel that we need to feel and include them in the mainstream society ASAP. Only then we can address the problems which they face when they are treated as something subhumans. And the contemporary Indian writing in English, it has emerged as a powerful platform for advocating this social change and addressing the issues that were previously neglected or hitherto overlooked. One such pressing issue has been the portrayal of disabled individuals and their rights. The paper which I had made for this seminar has explored the significance of representing disabled persons in the IWE. We need a visual representation here, and it has been taken upon by a host of authors who challenge the prevailing narrative that often sidelines or rather invisibilizes the disabled individuals. As such, this representation is essential for fostering a more accurate and understanding of the diverse experience of the disabled persons. When you talk about Indian writing in English, we talk about marginalized people. Historically, we have also talked about them, and individuals with disabilities have also been stigmatized, especially in the Indian context. As such, they have been marginalized also, and they are mostly portrayed as stereotypical. We do not look at them from a normal perception. We look at them from negative or otherwise subhuman level perception. But literature has sort of tried to portray the disabled people in a realistic manner, and the contemporary Indian writers have used their narratives to do so. They have tried to portray the disabled characters and tried to connect them to the readers through emotions. And they try to let the readers empathize with them through their experiences. And all this has resulted in eliminating prejudice and discrimination against the disabled people, thereby encouraging the readers to view disability not as a barrier, but rather as a normal aspect of human diversity. India has a rich literary tradition, but somehow we have forgotten to represent the disabled individuals in our literature per se. However, the scenario is changing in the modern times. We have a lot of authors who have taken upon the disabled people challenges in their writings. Few prominent works include Arundhati Roy's The God of Small Things, Kiran Nagarkar's Cuckold, and Meena Alexander's Illiterate Heart. The first one is a novel, the second one is also a novel, and the third one is the collection of poems. What is common in these three? Coincidentally, all of these are the female authors, and they have portrayed the negative as well as the positive aspects of disabilities in their literature. Arundhati Roy has taken upon three characters in her novel, and she has shown us how resilient the disabled people also are. Similarly, Nagarkar has also taken upon the disabled characters in her novel Cuckold, and she also says that they don't have only disability to them, but they are also resilient and they also possess inner strength. Indian writers in English have also contributed to the advocacy of disabled persons' rights through their works. And here I will give my 2 cents about it. I think that the moment we will try to look upon disability as something inclusive, like the speaker before me was also talking about inclusion of disabled in the mainstream society. If we are able to do that, and if we contribute to the ongoing dialogue which surrounds a disability, we can help shape a more inclusive and empathetic society. But for that, we need to write about them. We need to write about the issues they face in a positive manner. That will be my presentation. Thank you for giving me your time and ears and listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Our heartfelt thanks to Dr. Priyanka Singla for being a fantastic guest lecturer at our seminar. Your passion for the subject and your ability to connect with our audience have made this event truly memorable. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Now, the next speaker I would like to invite is Dr. Grace Obeagli Okta, Department of Educational Technology, Tai Solarin University of Education, on enhancing inclusive education, leveraging assistive technology to support students with special needs in junior secondary schools in Lagos State. Sir. Dr. Grace, are you there? Dr. Grace? So we are moving ahead. Now I would like to invite our next speaker, Molokpu Augusta Nakim, Department of Educational Psychology, and Oladimeji Oimi Omalayo, Department of Intellectual Disability, Federal College of Education, Oyo, Nigeria, on efficacy of cognitive behavior and social learning therapies on managing adolescents' aggressiveness. Olokwu Augusta Nakim. Oladimeji Oemi Omolayo. Any one of you are there?
I am Dr. Taru Gupta. Is this line of queue? If it is possible, then you can continue my processing.
Sorry?
Yeah, I am Dr. Taru Gupta, Associate Professor in LPCPS College in Lucknow. If it is possible, then if somebody is not searching from your sites, then I can continue my PPT.
But your name was not there in the list.
Excuse me, ma'am. I am Dr. Harjinder Kaur. May I present my...
Rimi, first we'll take the people who are there in the list.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, please continue with that. You have the list of speakers, invite
Yes,
them one by one. If they're not there, call the next speaker. Lately, you can call them again once again, those who have not approached you, okay?
Okay, ma'am. So, moving ahead, now I would like to invite our next speaker, Ms. Shruti Verma, Institute of Foreign Languages, Rudin University, on motor disability groups in higher education system. Ms. Shruti Verma. Ms. Shruti Verma.
Excuse me, ma'am. My name is Dr. Harjinder and my timing is 6:50. I think you skip or maybe I skip my name. Dr. Harjinder.
Yeah, ma'am, you are there. I'm calling you. I'm calling you.
Okay, okay. Shall I start?
Wait, ma'am. Is there Ms. Shruti available? No. So I'm calling Dr. Harjinder Kaur, Assistant Professor, Khasa College of Education, Ranjit Avenue, Amritsar, Punjab, on advancing SDGs, inclusive and empowering efforts for persons with disabilities.
Is my screen is visible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Shall I start?
Yes, sure, ma'am.
Okay. Good evening to everyone. My name is Dr. Harjinder Kaur, Assistant Professor from Khalsa College of Education, Ranjit Avenue, Amritsar. I'm from Punjab. Today, I would like to discuss on topic advancing sustainable development goals, inclusive and empowering efforts for persons with disabilities. First of all, I would like to give a brief overview of the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, an ambitious agenda which set out to transform our world. We have always known that the goals cannot be realized without the inclusion of persons with disabilities. The Sustainable Development Goals are a set of 17 global goals adopted by all United Nations member states in 2015 as part of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. The SDGs serve as a universal call to action to end poverty, protect the planet, and ensure prosperity for all. Each goal addresses specific challenges and encompasses a range of targets and indicators to measure progress. Now, I would like to discuss first 10 SDGs. The first is end poverty in all its forms everywhere. Next is end hunger, achieve food security and improved nutrition and promote sustainable agriculture. Next is ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for all at all ages, ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. Next is achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls, ensure availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all, ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all, promote sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth, full on productive employment, and decent work for all, build resilient infrastructure, promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization, and foster innovation. And the 10th is reduce inequality within and among countries. Next, disability inclusive development. It means that all stages of development processes are inclusive of and accessible to persons with disabilities. It requires that all persons be afforded equal access to education, healthcare services, work and employment, and social protection, among others. Next, importance of inclusivity in achieving SDGs. Inclusivity is a fundamental principle of the Sustainable Development Goals, aiming to ensure that the benefits of development reach all individuals regardless of their background or circumstances. This approach promotes social equity and justice by addressing disparities and discrimination, fostering a more just society. Inclusive approaches harness diverse perspectives, skills, and experiences, leading to more comprehensive solutions to complex challenges. They empower vulnerable groups such as women, persons with disabilities, and minorities by providing equal opportunities in education, employment, and decision-making processes. Inclusive economic growth enhances innovation and resilience, while inclusive education ensures quality access to all. Inclusive healthcare system addresses diverse health needs, fosters social cohesion, and promote reliance to climate change. Next comes to challenges faced by persons with disabilities. Here are mainly four. And first is educational barriers. Individuals with disabilities often face barriers in accessing quality education due to physical infrastructure, lack of accessible materials and a shortage of trained educators and lack of inclusive learning environment. Next is employment challenges. Discrimination and stigma in the workplace coupled with inaccessible workplace and inadequate accommodations can hinder employment opportunities for individuals with disabilities. Next is access to healthcare. Individuals with disabilities often face challenges in accessing healthcare due to physical barriers, inaccessible medical equipment, and health disparities, which may not be adequately addressed by medical professionals. And the last is social and cultural barriers. Social exclusion and communication barriers are common issues faced by individuals with disabilities. Addressing these requires a comprehensive approach involving policymakers, communities, and stakeholders. Strategies include inclusive education, workplace diversity, universal healthcare access, awareness campaigns, and infrastructure improvements. Recognizing the and addressing these challenges can foster a more inclusive environment for disabled individuals. Next, empowering inclusivity through education. Here are some points. And universal design for learning strategy ensures diverse learning styles and abilities are effectively accessible and engaged with the curriculum by designing educational materials, methods, and assessments. Next, teachers should receive training on inclusive teaching methods, including understanding diverse learning needs, creating accessible materials, and using assistive technologies to support students with disabilities. Next, individualized education plans are collaborative plans created by educators, parents, and specialists to identify and address the unique learning needs of students with disabilities, promoting academic success. Next is physical accessibility and technology like screen readers and captioning are crucial for creating an inclusive learning environment for students with disabilities. And the last one is peer support and collaboration in the classroom promote inclusivity, social integration, and mutual learning by pairing students with disabilities for collaborative activities. Here comes technological innovations. Technology plays a crucial role in creating accessible environments for individuals with disabilities. Assistive devices like motorized wheelchairs and exoskeletons enhance mobility, while communication aids like augmentative and alternative communication devices empower individuals with communication disabilities. Adaptive computer interface cater to motor impairments, and smart home technology allows control of living environments through voice-activated assistants and automated systems. Here are some examples of assistive technology and innovations. First is cochlear implants, then prosthetic limbs with myoelectric control. Next, brain-computer interface, then OrCam, MyEye, eye gaze communication systems enabling the deaf, blind, and the last one, accessible gaming technology. Next is measuring progress. Monitoring and evaluation are crucial for achieving disability inclusive sustainable development goals, focusing on key indicators like education enrollment, employment, healthcare, social inclusion, infrastructure accessibility, legal framework, compliance, technology, accessibility, income disparities, and public awareness. At last, I would like to conclude by saying these lines: disability inclusivity is crucial for achieving SDGs, addressing challenges like education, employment, healthcare, and social barriers. Collaboration among governments, organizations, business, and communities is essential for promoting rights and fostering a culture of empathy, understanding, and collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. A special thanks to Dr. Harjinder Kaur for being our guest lecturer and sharing her expertise with us. Your valuable insights have enriched our seminar, ma'am, and we are grateful for the time and efforts you dedicated to making it as a success. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Now, I would like to call our next speaker, Ms. Shruti Verma, Institute of Foreign Languages, RUDN University, on motor disability groups in higher education system. Ms. Shruti
Ma'am,
Verma.
yes. Is my screen visible? Wait.
Not now, ma'am.
Is it visible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. So hello everyone. I'm Shruti. I'm currently pursuing my PhD in applied linguistics from Rossiysko University, Rudan University in Russia. And my topic is disability groups in higher education system. So I'd just like to start with saying that disability, well, sometimes it's visible and sometimes it's not. But one can say that it affects almost every individual's ability to participate, especially in the daily activities, and especially when it comes to education, because education is one of the first milestones that any person has to overcome. And the issue with motor disability is that the students who have motor disability, they are not able to reach the classrooms, or even the students with chronic illnesses, they are not able to reach the classrooms. About 70% of the students with chronic disabilities or chronic illnesses, or uh, differently able students, they leave their education midway, or they opt for distance education or even distance schooling. You know why? The main reason for that is because they commute, right? The very path they have to take to reach their schools and to reach the universities, it's very difficult. For a healthy bodied person, uh, it's somewhat convenient. For a healthy bodied person, it is somewhat doable to point A to point B in lesser amount of time, or with even if there are physical hurdles or physical barriers, to overcome them. Um, but for a differently able person or for a chronically ill child, this route to education, it becomes longer and longer by mile. And the reason for that is the very route that a person has to take. Right? Suppose one is in a metropolitan city. In such cases, the children usually have to take metros. Now, metros, if anybody has encountered this, if you faint in a metro, or if something happens to you in a Delhi metro, right? The only first aid, the proper first aid, or the only medical aid that a state like Delhi has is that they'll call the ambulance or they'll call the emergency, and that's it. That's it. They don't have any safety kit sets. They don't have any medical equipment sets. They don't have any medical helpers on the side. This entire Delhi metro side, and this is the capital that we are talking about. So similarly, on the DMC, not just the DMC, similarly on the buses, right? We see that if a person with motor disability wants to get into the bus, then a person will have to assess that person to get into the bus, as in through wheelchair. There's no inbuilt equipment for the platform to get lowered or anything like that. So a person or a student with disability or chronic illness will always have to be dependent on the mercy of the bus driver. That is, if the bus driver chooses to stop the bus, because um, in 50% of the cases, the bus drivers, they do not stop the bus. Personally encountered by me, they do not stop the bus when they see a person with chronic illness or motor disability. They just speed the bus instead and drive by. So in these cases, students face a very negative experience. They face a very negative feedback as to the very barrier of towards their education is the very commute system itself. And not just that, there are attitudinal impediments as well. For example, this is just a slight example. Um, a lot of students with who are chronically ill or differently able I have spoken to, and my personal experience as well. We all agree on one thing: none of us need any what to say, any reservation. To be very frank, none of us needs any reservation. We just need equal resources. We don't ask for new things to be constructed. We don't ask for new landscapes to be built or this or that. We just ask for a little addition, minor additions that wouldn't cause anybody any harm if they were to be rendered, so that the person or the institution rendering those and the differently able students and the chronically ill students receiving those would both be benefited. And let us not forget that the things that we ask for, the assistive technology that we ask for, are not very high technology. They can be marked as something with uh, which can be labeled as very low technology, which can be made with day-to-day items. And it has been observed that such equipments do help. Low technology equipments do help. But do you know that a student, especially I'm talking about in the primary sector, right? As in the primary grades, first to sixth grade, students are not able to bring this equipment up to the school for the fear of these equipments being stolen or destroyed by the classmates, or the school not allowing them. So just imagine, this is something that students face in the initial stages. Now later on, what happens is that during the stage of graduation, almost half of the chronically ill people opt out, and almost 60% of people with motor disabilities, they choose to withdraw. Only 50% continue, and even in those 50%, approx 30 to 35%, they tend to prefer sort of a distance mode or an online mode. Now mind you, this online mode was earlier looked down upon during the time pre-corona time, but when corona hit, all of a sudden online became the new it, right? And it started being available for everyone. And later on, which should have been available for chronically ill people, for students with motor disabilities, motor locomotive disabilities, it should have been available from the get-go. It was then permitted, and it was then seen as something normal. Otherwise, it was looked down upon. Um, would you believe it? In 2000, I believe 2018, yes, 2018, there was a case of a student who was suffering from osteoporosis, a very young child. So that person was pursuing his uh, his course in arena animation, and the students' wards had gone to the arena animation studio to ask for the local the local head, not the head of the arena animation, but the local area manager, to allow their ward to attend the classes online. And the in charge declined, straight away declined, saying, no, we can't do online education. The same situation took a 180-degree turn when the COVID times hit, and suddenly this was opened up for everyone. So just imagine, if this can be opened up for general public during the desperate times, isn't it the right of people who have motor locomotive disabilities to access these resources if they are accessible? Now let's go to the proposed solutions for this. I'm sure by now everybody must have
Excuse me, ma'am.
realized. Yes, I
Ma'am,
would like to
kindly adhere to the time limits.
right. So I
Sorry
would
for
like
interrupting.
no, it's all right. It's all right. So I would like to conclude by saying that we don't need high financial investments. We don't need different platforms. We don't even need reservation. We don't need quota. Remove all those. Nobody needs those. We just want an equal platform. That's it. Like the resources that other people, that the healthy bodied people use for recreational purposes, we rely on those as our educational tool sticks. So thank you. That's all.
Thank you, ma'am. So thank you, Ms. Shruti Verma, for being our distinguished guest lecturer. Your thoughtful presentation and deep understanding of the subject have elevated the quality of our seminar, and we are thankful for your impactful contribution. Thank you so much, ma'am. Next, I would like to invite our next speaker, Ms. Shivani Mittal, special educator and counselor, parent-child trainer, autism, early intervention trainer, special needs, the Shri Ram School. Ms. Shivani Mittal. Ms. Shivani Mittal.
Ma'am, voice is audible to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am. I'm just sharing the screen first.
Ma'am, your screen is not presenting.
Yeah, ma'am. It's not. Just wait. I'm doing it. Is this visible now?
No, ma'am.
Share screen options.
Sixth option on your screen is share screen option, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. I'm doing that.
Okay.
Is the screen is now available?
No. Yes, ma'am.
No. Okay, ma'am. So myself is good evening to all. Myself is Shivani Bansal Mittal. I am parent-child trainer, autism, early intervention trainer for special needs, and special educator and counselor at the Shri Ram Universal School, Ludhiana, Punjab. I'm really very thankful to ICRT for giving me opportunity to express my views on the occasion of International Day of Persons with Disability. My today's topic is see the ability of the child, not the disability of the child. And the objective is to enhance the ability of special needs. And the learning outcome will be to spread the awareness among the people to change their perspective towards special needs. Are we all perfect? Are we all perfect individual here? According to me, I am not. Or I can say we are not. No one is perfect in this entire world. No one is able to do all the skills. Each one of us is able to do few skills and unable to do so many skills. What is the ability? It is a very common term. Ability to communicate effectively, ability to engage the audience, ability to visualize effectively, ability to manage the things effectively, and ability to handle questions and objections clearly. Now here comes a special ability. What is a special ability? I think we all have one or another kind of special ability. Special ability, according to me, is that we have one or another ability to excel in particular activity. Like in a school, we have so many students. But we recognize only few of them because they have one or another kind of special ability. Like one of the girl in our school, she is very good singer. So I always call her a singer. And she is very happy to listen that. We all are differently abled, and we say that we are not normal people. We are always tagged ourselves as normal people. Being tagged normal people, we still not able to do so many skills and activity. Then why we tag them only? Yes, sometimes the disability is quite seen, and they are not able and can do some other skills. There are lots of other abilities in them which are unseen and unnoticed. We just need to focus on the special ability of the person so that they can become independent and self-sufficient. Yes, I am talking about the disability. What is disability? Person with disability means a person with long-term physical, mental, intellectual, or sensory impairment. With interaction with barriers hinders his full and effective participation in society equally with others. There are very well-known celebrities, in spite having disabilities, still arose and become famous in their careers and mark their path in the history of the world. Let's take few examples. We have Michael J. Fox. He's a well-known Canadian actor and American activist. He was diagnosed with Parkinson disorders at the age of 29, but still he worked hard upon his abilities and overcome his disability and become so famous. Here we have another examples. John Honkenberry. He's an American journalist and author. He sustained a spinal cord injury in a car crash at the age of 19, which left him on the wheelchair for the rest of his life. But he also overcome his disability by focusing on the ability he has. And the next example is Abhishek Bachchan. He's a well-known and famous Bollywood actor. He had dyslexia in his early childhood and went to special school also. And now he's excel in his field. He's able to act, he's able to dance and perform very brilliantly. Now here comes a very well-known example in front of us, Albert Einstein. He was a great scientist, father of modern physics. He was suffered from Asperger's syndrome in his childhood. He never tried to overcome his syndrome. He only just focused on his ability and his love for maths and science. So my viewpoint is just to focus the ability of the special need children, just to give them support and vocationally train them so that they can able to lead an independent and happy life. They need our support only by focusing on their abilities instead of tag them that they are disabled or they need help for the disabilities. They need help for their abilities, I think. And next, making it very short, I want to share my journey with you. Actually, my journey started when I was blessed with the baby boy. And after 1 year, I got to know that he's been diagnosed with ADHD, that is delay in speech and hyperactivity. So I want to train myself. Because according to me, there is no wonderful therapist. Being a parent, only a parent can be a very good therapist for his child. So I attended sessions at Delhi, I went Delhi for around 1 year, worked hard on my child. I went to USA, and I went all the possible places where can I have therapies and education for my child. Now my child is now 14 years old. He's going to mainstream school. He's not coping. He's coping with his curriculum very well. He's a good football player. And here only because of him, I'm able to come to in this field. He gave me wings and make me independent in this field. I'm really thankful and appreciate the God that He has given me chance to serve the people with special needs. In the end, I would like to thank ICRT and Dr. Navneet Kaur to given me a chance and such a big platform to express my views on Person Disability Day. And thank you so much, ma'am. And in the end, I want to share one poem with all of you. A meeting was held quite far from earth. It's time again from another birth. Said the angels to the Lord above. This special child will need much love. Her progress may seem very slow. Accomplishments she may not show. And she will require extra care from the folks she meet way down there. She may not run or laugh or play. Her thoughts may seem quite far away. In many ways, she isn't adapt. She will be known as handicapped. So let's be careful where she is sent. We want her life to be content. Please, Lord, find the parents who will do special job for you. They will not realize right away the leading role they asked to play. But with this child sent from above came a stronger faith and richer love. And soon they will know the privilege given in the caring for the gift from heaven. Their precious charge, so meek and mild, is heaven very special. In heaven, he has sent a special child. Thank you so much.
We are deeply thankful to Ms. Shivani Mittal for serving as our guest lecturer. Your expertise and ability to convey complex concepts in an accessible manner have made a significant difference in the success of our seminar. Thank you so much, ma'am. Now, moving ahead, a question answer round in a seminar is a crucial part of engaging the audience and ensuring that their concerns and queries are addressed. Thank you all for your attention so far. And now it's time to hear from you. Your feedback and questions are crucial to making this seminar valuable for everyone. So let's open the house for discussion. If there is any query or anyone who wants to ask anything from our speakers, please raise your hand. We will allow you to unmute yourself. Or you can write your questions in chat box as well. Is there anyone who has any doubts? Should I move on, ma'am?
There is one hand raised. One is Hola. Okay, Ishola, you can unmute yourself and ask your question, please. Olufemi is Hola, and then we have Elizabeth below also. Hand is raised. So first we'll take, yeah.
All right, I have a question. My name is Olufemi Shola from Nigeria here, a member of Faculty of Nigerian Baptist Theological Seminary, Ogbomoso. My question are based on the presentation so far, is that how can we properly integrate people living with one form of disability or the other in higher institutions where special classes are not created for them? at least at secondary school level or primary school level, we have special classes created for these people. But in higher institutions, it's very difficult for them, to have a special class. How can we properly integrate them in such an educational system? Thank you. I'm done.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Elizabeth, just wait for your turn. Let first all your FEMI questions need to be answered. Any speaker who wants to take this question? Anyone from the audience who want to answer on this?
Ma'am, I think Shruti Verma ma'am wants to say something on this question.
Please. Shruti, you can unmute and you can answer.
I want to answer the question.
Ms. Shruti Verma, you need to unmute yourself. Elizabeth Bello will come to you after this answer is done, okay? Yes, Shruti, please.
Ma'am, for this, like in a lot of schools, they don't usually allot a separate budget for it because obviously there's cost cutting. It's done all over the world. So for the classrooms, what we can do is we can have low assistive technology. That is, these everyday things that we have, right? We can mend them a little and then use it instead of employing higher technology. And that has proven to be very effective for students. As for students suffering from intellectual disabilities, for them, they usually respond well once they bond, once they are comfortable with their educators. Because if the educator is someone who's familiar to them, or if they have a familiar member or a person whom they feel safe with, so they tend to respond much better than being placed in an unknown environment. So my answer would be that assistive technology, but low assistive technology, and having someone who's familiar with them, who has worked with them for too long.
Thank you, Shruti, for this answer. Yeah, Izohola, you want to say something? Unmute. Please unmute yourself. I'll add up over there that you can have shadow teachers. If the budget is the problem, you can have shadow teachers. Sensitivity is one thing you need to work on that. You can formulate inclusive policies and structures. And for that, you can build knowledge and skills to teach a diverse group of learners through continuous professional development. Optimum professional utilization of material and human resources needed, enhance engagement and value the achievement of all learners, which Shruti has also embarked, and emphasis group process and a problem-solving approach is needed in your institution. And the most important, what I feel as an educator, practice distributed leadership that seeks to empower and inspire participatory decision making. So make buddies with those students who will help them sensitize the whole environment of the school. So culture of the school needs to be really changed. Thank you for a wonderful question. We'll go to Elizabeth Bello. Your question, please. I'll request Elizabeth Bello to unmute yourself and please ask the question.
I want to apologize for nothing I was told. It wasn't intentional. It was a problem. And we cannot see that it happens to all Nigerians, even started me. We are sorry for that. I want to the question.
Elizabeth, your voice is not clear. Please, either you can write the question in chat box. Ms. Rimi, I think we have Grace over there. If she can come and at least a concluding remark, because we have a very less time left. So she can give a concluding remark over there. Grace Oputa, I can see the hand over there. And I'll
Hello,
request
everyone.
Elizabeth Bello to please write your question in the chat box. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, Grace.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, nice to see you.
Yes, I'm Grace. Sorry, I had issues with my network. That was why I couldn't. I was on. I was hearing you, but you didn't hear me. That was why I couldn't do my presentation. I actually wanted to respond to the first question, which you had done that very well. But I just want to say that supporting individuals with special needs in higher institutions involves implementing inclusive policies, as well as providing accessibility accommodations. And then this can include access to assistive technologies, as well as training faculty and staff members in inclusive teaching practices. And then again, I think we need to create awareness programs in order to promote the understanding, of these special needs students and empathy for these special needs students. Additionally, I think we need to establish a designated office and resource center for disability services, with special needs assistance that they need. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Grace, for your input over there. Wonderful to see you. There's one question in the chat box. It is by, I am not able to see the name. What is the impact of child disability on the family? Any speaker wants to answer? If Ms. Shivani is there, if she can answer. What is the impact of child disability on the family? Very good question.
Ma'am, in the initial stage, it's really very heart touching and a very depressive feeling. But slowly and steadily, if like acceptance starts from the home. Being a parent, we accept our child's disability first. We accepted that he has a problem. The parents actually usually raise the child till the age of 5. They wait, like they if there are no they unseen the disability till the age of 5, and after when they realize that no, now the disability is seen to the society, then they got conscious. So I think the early intervention program is very helpful for the parents also, because they train the parents first. We need to have a counseling to the parents first, then to the child. If the parents accept the child, then the journey of the child becomes very smooth.
I totally agree with you, Shivani. I have seen in my, this journey, it is very difficult for the parent to accept that the child is, I won't say a special child. I normally say they are only wired differently.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
they are like others only, but in their brain, that wiring has some different kind of unique ability, different kind of transformers there, which we need to understand. But that
yes,
acceptance is very, very tough by the parents, especially in the initial ages.
Initial stage.
Yes.
Ma'am, actually the therapy needs initial stage to the parents, not to the child.
I agree on that. There's another question which I want to take up. What type of educational planning would you suggest us for IDD child in inclusive setup?
Ma'am, in inclusive setup, there should be a one-on-one sessions to the child, first of all. And with this one-on-one, we have to give them a social interaction also. to the child, because inclusion itself means giving them a same platform as we give to the regular child, to the mainstreams. But the one-on-one sessions and a single teacher education to the child is very important, because in curriculum we have few part that which taught to the child independently and separately, and the few subjects which can be taught in a whole group sessions or in a classroom settings. So the both are very important.
Wonderful. I'll take one last question. Any speaker can give the answer. This is Abdullah from Nigeria. I want to use this opportunity and ask this question. What is the impact of disability in a tertiary institution by combining them in the same class with other students? I think this is inclusive.
Yes, ma'am.
They are supposed to be there, but still any speaker wants to give answer.
And actually all answers are in the inclusion itself. We all say that we are inclusive education, but I think the open-handed and open arms are still, they need to be, many people still not very active to accept them. The inclusions are still in the books, but we still not, still as a group, as a society, need to work upon it. And there should not be a separate, like before Dr. Priyanka told, that there should not be any kind of special school or special facilities like registrations and extra. There should be a part of the regular life also. So I think inclusions should be very in a practical sense. We should accept the inclusion in all the mainstream schools, not in a specific one or two kinds of school. All the schools needs to be inclusive right now.
I'll just quickly talk about our first speaker. I was really touched when she was Rhoda Basco, when she was telling about her systems in Philippines, that for 2 years, a tough training was given to the educators, special educators, and after training, they immediately moved to USA. So, it is an alarming issue for each one of us. That's why in India, especially CBSE, New Education Policy, has formulated that every school institution is inclusive. We need to understand the value and the importance of inclusive education. So once every educator is going to understand, I believe somewhere we are going to make a difference in the world. I'm going to take the last question. This is Aboki Mutsafa from Federal College. He's asking a question. What is the role of, I think this I've already asked. It's the same one. Okay, let me take the question. What is the role of tertiary institution towards implementation of inclusive education? I think the same question is coming again and again.
One question is there. What is the biggest challenge or reward in working with students who require special education? By Sonia Sharma.
Okay. Any speaker? Priyanka is there. If any speaker is there, kindly unmute and you can answer this question. Rimi, just repeat the question.
What is the biggest challenge or reward in working with students who require special education?
Anyone? Please unmute and you can answer. Any special educator counselor over here?
Pardon, please.
Hello, my name is Dr. from Federal College of Education. Can you hear me?
Yes, we are hearing you. Augusta. Hi, Augusta. Great to have you. Please answer this question.
Yes, I'm sorry. I was not able to link up all this while I was supposed to be one of the guest speakers. I don't know if I've missed it. Yes. Yeah, the question is, what is the greatest challenge? Is it the challenge for the teachers of special education needs or the children themselves? So let me take it if the questions are in two parts.
We are taking it for the teachers now. It is for teachers.
Yes, for the most especially in my own part of the country, the major challenge the lecturers or teachers are having is ICT, the devices that these children need they are not accessible. First of all, I think I wrote a paper on this. Yes, I wrote a paper on this. The accessibility is one issue on one side, available. The technical know-how, how to operate them, is another thing entirely. It's another thing entirely. So the teachers themselves are, let me use the word, novice. So they need training on how to use this and apply it for the children themselves. Okay, and another thing is, aside accessibility, that is, it is not even available. If you have the money, it's not even available. What is available are substandard, and when they use it for 2-3 for a while, it is damaged. So the major problem, which is financial implications of accessing these devices, is another thing entirely. Now, the practical major challenge is what I've had since 1 o'clock African Nigerian time till now. I have been unable to link up on the internet since. I'm just coming on and have set myself since morning that I was going to present. I had been set and everything, but there was no internet network. How will I put it? Epileptic network service. Hello?
Yeah, we are hearing. Yes, we understand.
There's been epileptic of network service, and these are the one of the challenges, the major challenges that we are having from this side part of the world. Thank you. And it's applicable to the students themselves. Thank you.
I totally agree with you, Augusta. This technology is actually a benison, both sides. So when tsunami came, this became a bliss for us. And now we are dependent on this. Today, we are interconnected with each other because of this technology. So technology is really very, very important. But if we see at the other side, when we go back to our roots, that time no technology was there. But still, that time also there were inclusive education.
Yes.
In India, we used to have ashrams where especially, the son and daughters of kings used to go there for learning. And they used to live a very difficult kind of life, the way you people are living in Africa.
Yes.
So tools are very, very important. So educator, teacher is the most important tool, I believe. We need technology, I agree on that. But in absence of technology, also we can impart inclusive education to each one, those who need it. Because see, we normally say after 10 years, this technology will go. We are having smartphones now. After just, I think, 2 or 3 years, smartphones are just going to vanish. AI has taken the whole show. So advancement is going on. But two things will be there in the world, problems and people. So we need to nurture these two things very importantly. And that is what inclusive education is again guiding us. Thank you so much for this question round. It was really wonderful, interactive. Rimi, all back to you for the closure. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I would like to invite Dr. Navneet Kaur for formal vote of thanks. Ma'am.
Okay, I'm always here only. See, gratitude is not only the greatest of virtues, but the parent of all the others. I express my heartfelt thanks to all who have made today's webinar so successful and informative. I would like to thank first Team ICERT USA and India for today's webinar. I extend my gratitude to our revered chairman, Sir Dr. Sandeep Singh Marji, who have been our guiding light and nurturing ICERT and he's helping us reach to every individual in global. So it's wonderful to meet so many people from different parts of the world over here. It's all because of him. Thank you so much. I would like to express my appreciation to Dr. Sandeep Sehag, Secretary of ICERT, for providing such knowledgeable resources to us. His unwavering support has been instrumental in our growth and development. I'm grateful to all the directors, Dr. Arunachal, Dr. Simran, Dr. Saima, and all the core members who truly work behind the curtains. A special thanks to our keynote speaker, Rhoda Basco Galenco, really, I was touched with your presentation. Your talk not only gave us the knowledge on inclusive education in Philippines, but also taught us how to sensitize towards these students. Bruce Dickinson has beautifully said, a moment of difference makes a difference in your attitude. And it's definitely a blessing to have Ms. Shivani, an empathetic and intellectual mind with us. Your PPT with real life examples was really motivating and inspiring. Dr. Paramjit Kaur for addressing the issues, understanding the barriers of PWT. It gives me immense pleasure to pay my gratitude to Dr. Priyanka Singla to make this webinar a resounding success with the topic Portrayal of Disabled Persons. I recognize Dr. Harchinderji for specifying importance of inclusivity in achieving SDGs and Ms. Shruti for equity. A wide round of applause and thanks to all the participants who made this day memorable. Today, we have diverse group of participants from all the corners of the world, and the seminar succeeded in providing a holistic and inclusive perspective to all about persons with disabilities. So I would like to thank each one of you for your participation and presence. Robert M. Hensel beautifully said, know me for my abilities, not disabilities. Learning is always a good opportunity to feed our mind as it helps us grow. Disability is a matter of perception. And now what is our duty to do as an educator, which I have said before also, we need to create an environment of acceptance. I think, Ishola, this is what you were also asking. By establishing shared belief of respect and care, celebrating differences as natural human diversity and treat them as an opportunity to learn, promoting social interactions among students and with teachers, rather with every stakeholder, scrutinizing existing barriers to inclusion and illicit ways of overcoming them by involving students, teachers, parents, and the community. And the most important and last, I feel by sensitizing teachers, peer groups, support staff, and the community to the unique needs of diverse group of learners. I've really learned a lot from all the great resources. Thank you so much. And the most important, the moderator of the day, I really want to thank her for being such a considerate moderator. Thank you. Namaste. Good evening. Good morning. Whatever time you have, good afternoon, good morning in your places. See you next time. It was a wonderful interactive session. From my core of heart, I pay my gratitude to each one of you and even to the technology also. What Augusta has told, this technology is also something very, very important. Namaste.
Thank you.